Upstairs, Downstairs once captivated millions of viewers in the 1970s with its dramatic tale of class divisions and its talented cast. Yet, 53 years later, the fates of those faces have taken unimaginable turns. Some continued to devote themselves to the stage, while others collapsed under the weight of illness and family tragedy. And today, we look back at who they were then and who they have become now. Jean Marsh as Rose Buck. Jean Marsh was born on July 1, 1934, in London, England. When she was 37 years old, she took on the role of Rose Buck in Upstairs, Downstairs in 1971, the loyal and kind-hearted maid, representing the working-class women full of inner conflict in early 20th century British society. This role not only made her an iconic face of television, but also earned her the Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actress in 1975, affirming her talent and artistic depth. But behind the spotlight, Jean Marsh's married life was filled with pain. She had once been married to actor Jon Pertwee, famed for Doctor Who. The brief marriage ended quickly, leaving her emotionally scarred. The loneliness after divorce haunted her, driving her to pour herself into her career while still carrying the mark of an unfulfilled love. It wasn't only her marriage. Her health also brought her down. In 2011, Jean Marsh suffered a severe stroke, which left part of her body paralyzed and forced her away from filming for a long time. For an actress who lived for her art, the blow was devastating, turning every day of recovery into a battle against helplessness. Still, she fought to return, determined to keep contributing with whatever strength she had left. Jean Marsh passed away on April 13, 2025, at the age of 90. The cause of death was said to be complications from years of declining health after her stroke. She left behind an estimated net worth of about $5 million, drawn from television salaries, screenwriting, and royalties from Upstairs, Downstairs. Marsh departed amid deep sorrow, leaving behind an artistic legacy and the unforgettable image of Rose Buck, forever etched in the memories of viewers. Gordon Jackson as Angus Hudson. Gordon Jackson was born on December 19, 1923, in Glasgow, Scotland. At age 48, he took on the role of Angus Hudson, the strict but devoted butler in Upstairs, Downstairs in 1971. Hudson became a symbol of duty and honor, while Jackson himself was praised for his gravitas and depth. The role brought him to the peak of his career and earned him the prestigious Emmy Award in 1976, confirming his stature as a powerful Scottish actor. Yet behind the acclaim, Gordon's private life carried a quiet sorrow. His marriage to actress Rona Anderson lasted for decades and seemed happy on the surface, but those years were shadowed by wartime memories. During World War II, he had witnessed friends die before his eyes, leaving emotional wounds that never fully healed and often pushed him into silence. Even with family by his side, he lived under the weight of haunting memories. His body, too, suffered under relentless pain. In 1989, Gordon was diagnosed with bone cancer. The illness progressed quickly, forcing him to endure physical torment while trying to keep working. He remained committed to the film set until his strength was gone, as the stage was the only place where he could forget the suffering eating away at him. Gordon Jackson died on January 15, 1990, at the age of 66, from complications of bone cancer. He left behind an estimated net worth of about $8 million, built from his years of acting, stage work, and voice acting. His passing left friends and audiences heartbroken, for Hudson would forever remain the model image of an immortal television character. David Langton as Richard Bellamy. David Langton was born on April 16, 1912, in Motherwell, Scotland. When he was 59 years old, he took on the role of Richard Bellamy, the patriarch of the Bellamy family, in Upstairs, Downstairs in 1971. The image of an ambitious aristocrat burdened with social concerns made him a pillar of the show and elevated Langton into one of the most distinguished stars of British television. Yet his private life was filled with pain. In his youth, David chose to leave school to pursue acting, a decision that deeply disappointed his mother and led to fierce opposition, leaving him with a lasting sense of rejection. After the death of his father in 1953, he fell into a severe crisis and mysteriously disappeared in New York for a time, shocking both the press and his family. Depression became a shadow over his life, forcing him to step away from the spotlight on several occasions in search of stability. Marriage, too, did not bring him complete peace. His first marriage to Mona Rosemary Copeman lasted more than 2 decades before collapsing, leaving him with 3 sons, one of whom, Simon Langton, later became a renowned director. Though his second marriage to Claire Green endured until the end of his life, the losses and emotional scars of the past never truly faded. David Langton died on April 25, 1994, in Stratford-upon-Avon, at the age of 82, from a heart attack. He left behind an estimated net worth of about $2 million, largely from his career on stage, film, and television. His passing closed a life marked by turbulence, but the legacy of Richard Bellamy remained, a symbol of elegance and poignancy in British television. Simon Williams as James Bellamy. Simon Williams was born on June 16, 1946, in Windsor, England. When he was only 25 years old, he played James Bellamy, the eldest son in Upstairs, Downstairs in 1971, a character torn between family duty and personal ambition. The role not only earned him wide recognition, but also became the stepping stone that secured his place in British television, forever linking his name to the image of a young aristocrat with depth and complexity. Though his career was successful, Simon's personal life was not without sorrow. Born into a well-known artistic family, he faced the devastating loss of his sister, Polly, who died of cancer in 2004. The shock plunged him into a period of deep depression, during which he often struggled to focus on his work. This loss left a profound scar on his soul, forcing him to fight hard to regain balance and continue performing. In contrast to his family grief, his marriage has been a rare source of light. Since 1983, he has been married to Lucy Fleming, the niece of writer Ian Fleming, and together they have 2 children. Despite his struggles with psychological darkness, Lucy's love and support helped Simon endure his crises and gave him a stable home from which to continue his dedication to art. By 2025, Simon Williams is 79 years old, still living in London, active in theater, and writing plays. He is regarded as a resilient artist, always committed despite enduring great loss. His net worth is estimated at about $2 million, built from his work in television, theater, and writing, reflecting a life wholly devoted to the arts. Angela Baddeley as Mrs. Bridges. Angela Baddeley was born on July 4, 1904, in West Ham, London. In 1971, she took on the role of Mrs. Bridges, the cook in Upstairs, Downstairs when she was 67 years old. Strict yet full of kindness, her character became the warm heart of the Bellamy household, giving the series a deeper sense of humanity. The role earned her the admiration of audiences and became one of the defining highlights of a career that had already spanned decades. But beyond the stage, her life was far from peaceful. Beginning her career at just 8 years old, Angela endured a harsh youth, working while struggling to survive in poverty. Her 2 marriages, first to John Robinson and later to Glenn Byam Shaw, both ended in separation, leaving behind much pain and emptiness, though she had 2 children. Loneliness became her constant companion during her later years. Just as her career was honored with a CBE in 1975, her health began to decline rapidly. Pneumonia struck her aging body, forcing her to leave behind the stage to which she had devoted her life. For someone who lived for art, the helplessness of illness felt like a devastating blow to her spirit. Angela Baddeley died on February 22, 1976, at the age of 71, from complications of pneumonia. She left behind an estimated net worth of about $2 million, drawn mainly from her work in theater, film, and television. Nearly half a century after her passing, the image of Mrs. Bridges, stern yet filled with love, continues to live on in the hearts of audiences. Christopher Beeny as Edward. Christopher Beeny was born on July 7, 1941, in London. At just 30 years old, he played Edward, the young servant, eager to learn and striving to rise, in Upstairs, Downstairs in 1971. His character brought fresh energy to the show, allowing viewers to see the changing face of a younger working-class generation in a class-driven society. The role of Edward marked Beeny's breakthrough, making him a familiar face on British television. However, away from the spotlight, he endured bitter struggles. Just when his career seemed to be taking off, Beeny fell into long-term unemployment, forcing him to leave acting behind and work in construction for 7 years, from 1963 to 1970. The instability of that period robbed him not only of professional opportunities, but also of confidence and hope. At the same time, he suffered the loss of a younger brother, a tragedy that deepened his sense of loneliness. In his personal life, Beeny married twice, but neither union lasted. The breakdowns in his relationships forced him repeatedly to fight for balance between his work and private life. Fortunately, his son James, who later became a musician, was his greatest comfort, giving him strength and meaning to continue performing. Christopher Beeny died on January 3, 2020, in Kent, at the age of 78 after battling illness. He left behind an estimated net worth of about $1 million, built from his television roles, particularly in Loving Memory, as well as stage work. Though he is gone, the image of Edward remains forever a symbol of innocence and vitality in the hearts of audiences. Lesley-Anne Down as Georgina Worsley. Lesley-Anne Down was born on March 17, 1954, in London. When she was 19 years old, she played Georgina Worsley, the young woman who had lost both parents and entered the Bellamy household with a rebellious spirit and a longing for freedom. The role turned Down into one of the brightest stars of Upstairs, Downstairs, opening the path to international fame and establishing her as a beauty icon of the 1970s. Yet her life off-screen was turbulent. A series of broken relationships left deep emotional wounds that were hard to heal. Her first marriage failed, her relationship with Enrique Gabriel ended, and then her marriage to director William Friedkin also collapsed, leaving her with pain and insecurity. After so many heartbreaks, she fell into a sense of loneliness, forcing herself to rise again in order to continue her career. Beyond her marriages, her health and the pressures of her profession also took a toll. The intensity of long-running television productions left her physically exhausted, eventually forcing her to retire in 2020. However, her passion for art never truly faded, and in 2024, she returned to the screen in Reagan, proving that pain may slow her down but could never extinguish her will. By 2025, Lesley-Anne Down is 71 years old, living in Atlanta with her husband Don E. Fauntleroy and their son. After years filled with loss, she has chosen a quieter life with her family. Her net worth is estimated at around $10 million, built from her work in television dramas, films, and soap operas, leaving behind the image of a talented and beautiful actress who endured much pain but stood proudly resilient. Jacqueline Tong as Daisy Peel. Jacqueline Tong was born on May 21, 1951, in Bristol. She took on the role of Daisy Peel, the gentle kitchen maid who gradually matured into an independent woman in Upstairs, Downstairs in 1973 when she was 22 years old. Daisy allowed Tong to embody the aspirations of the working class, and the role earned her an Emmy nomination in 1975, making her one of the most promising faces of British television at the time. However, her artistic path afterward was not lined with roses. Entering the 1980s, Jacqueline endured a long period of unemployment, unable to find any truly notable roles. That void often left her disheartened, aimless, and forced to step away from the stage she loved. The feeling of being left behind cast a lingering sadness over her for many years. In marriage, Jacqueline wed Gordon Roberts Nicholas in 1983. While the marriage has been stable and happy, the absence of children sometimes left her with a quiet emptiness, particularly when watching friends and colleagues find complete joy in family life. These unfulfilled spaces made the weight of her career struggles feel even heavier. By 2025, Jacqueline Tong is 74 years old and lives peacefully in London with her husband. She occasionally returns to stage and television, keeping the flame of her craft alive. Her net worth is estimated at around $3 million, largely from her work in television and theater, reflecting a career not overflowing with glamour, but one marked by perseverance and determination. Rachel Gurney, as Lady Marjorie Bellamy. Rachel Gurney was born on March 5, 1920, in Eton, Buckinghamshire. In 1971, she played Lady Marjorie Bellamy in Upstairs, Downstairs when she was 51 years old. Her portrayal of the elegant aristocratic woman, embodying duty and responsibility, left a lasting impression. The character quickly became a symbol of grace and quiet tragedy, solidifying Rachel's place in British television. Yet her private life was marked by pain. Her marriage to Dennis Rhodes lasted only from 1946 to 1950 before ending in divorce, leaving her deeply wounded emotionally. Although she had a daughter, Sharon, the breakup forced Rachel to endure long years of depression, weighed down by a sense of missing the family closeness she longed for. Alongside the scars of her marriage, her mental health continued to decline. Depression became a persistent shadow, often forcing her to step away from work to search for balance. In her later years, Rachel lived quietly, far removed from the spotlight she had once graced for decades. Rachel Gurney passed away on November 24, 2001, at the age of 81. The cause of death was attributed to age and declining health. She left behind an estimated net worth of about $5 million, largely from her work on stage and television. Though she is gone, the image of the graceful, tragic Lady Marjorie lives on in the hearts of Upstairs, Downstairs fans. Meg Wynn Owen as Hazel Bellamy. Meg Wynn Owen was born on November 8, 1939, in Lancaster. At 34 years old, she played Hazel Bellamy, James's second wife, in Upstairs, Downstairs in 1976. The character of Hazel offered a new perspective, a practical woman caught between love and the weight of class expectations. Meg's performance highlighted her sensitivity and subtlety, allowing audiences to feel the fragility and complexity of her character within a rigid society. But her own life brought little happiness. Her marriage to William Wright ended in divorce in 1987, leaving her with emptiness, especially as she had no children to rely on. Loneliness grew as she entered middle age, turning her private life into a stretch of quiet years devoid of family warmth. Her career also faced many obstacles. Despite strong roles in films such as Gosford Park, Meg Wynn Owen frequently battled periods of unemployment and fading recognition. In her later years, she was diagnosed with dementia, which gradually eroded her memory and mental health, making her final years a painful journey. Meg Wynn Owen died on July 5, 2022 in Cardiff, at the age of 82. The cause of death was complications from dementia. She left behind an estimated net worth of about $5 million, mainly from film and television, particularly British classics. Her legacy endures in the image of a refined actress, ensuring that Hazel Bellamy lives on in the memory of audiences. John Alderton as Thomas Watkins. John Alderton was born on November 27, 1940, in Gainsborough. In 1971, he was 32 years old when he played Thomas Watkins, the ambitious chauffeur in Upstairs, Downstairs. The character of Thomas revealed the hidden tensions in the master-servant relationship while also adding humor and depth to the series. The role made Alderton beloved by audiences and established him as a familiar face on British television. Unlike many of his contemporaries, his life was not marked by painful upheavals. In marriage, he has been devoted to actress Pauline Collins since 1969, raising 3 children with her, including Kate Alderton, who followed in their footsteps as an actress. That stability gave him a solid foundation to sustain a long-lasting career. His health, too, was spared the harsh illnesses that afflicted many of his co-stars. Instead, John chose to step away at the right time, allowing himself to enjoy old age peacefully with his family. Art had given him fame, but it was the calm of his private life that he valued most. By 2025, John Alderton is 84 years old and living in happy retirement with his wife in England. He has left the stage to focus on family and enjoy peaceful years. His net worth is estimated at about $5 million, built from sitcoms, films, and television, reflecting a varied and enduring career. Nicola Pagett as Elizabeth Bellamy. Nicola Pagett was born on June 15, 1945, in Cairo, Egypt. At the age of 26, she played Elizabeth Bellamy, the rebellious daughter of the Bellamy family in Upstairs, Downstairs, in 1971. Elizabeth, with her progressive political views and defiance of class conventions, brought new vitality to the series and turned Nicola into a symbol for a younger generation yearning for change. But behind the screen, her life was shadowed by darkness. In 1997, Nicola was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. The illness plunged her into extreme manic and depressive episodes, throwing her personal life into chaos. During one period of instability, she became obsessed with Alistair Campbell, Tony Blair's communications advisor, and ultimately required psychiatric hospitalization. Those years left deep scars on her mind and career. In her personal life, she married Graham Swannell in 1975, but the marriage ended in 1998. Though she had one daughter, Nicola spent many years in loneliness, struggling alone against her mental illness and prolonged emotional breakdowns. The lack of lasting family happiness only deepened her pain. Nicola Pagett died on March 3, 2021, at the age of 75 from a brain tumor. She left behind an estimated net worth of about $2 million, mostly from her television, stage, and film work. Her passing closed a life of suffering yet courage, while Elizabeth Bellamy remains an enduring symbol of youthful defiance and strength in the hearts of audiences. Ian Ogilvy as Lawrence Curbridge. Ian Ogilvy was born on September 30, 1943, in Woking, England. In 1973, he was 29 years old when he played Lawrence Curbridge in Upstairs, Downstairs, a complex aristocrat entangled in romantic and political troubles. The role not only added romantic depth and dramatic tension to the series, but also cemented Ogilvy's image as a charming nobleman on screen. In contrast to Nicola Pagett, Ian Ogilvy's private life was far more serene. He went through 2 marriages before finding lasting happiness with Catherine Holcomb. Alongside his career, his family, with 2 children, gave him balance and stability. Though he was never free from the pressures of acting, he did not endure the kind of severe personal crises faced by many of his peers. In later life, Ogilvy has continued to nurture his passion for the arts. He has remained active on stage and television while also devoting time to writing, which he regards as a creative outlet. His versatility has allowed him to maintain a steady place in the hearts of audiences for decades. By 2025, Ian Ogilvy is 82 years old and living in California with his wife. He continues to work actively, enjoying old age with peace and creativity. His net worth is estimated at around $5 million, built from film, television, and literature. For audiences, he will always be the gentleman saint, forever associated with Return of the Saint and other classic roles. Karen Dotrice as Lily Hawkins. Karen Dotrice was born on November 9, 1955, in Guernsey. At just 20 years old, she played Lily Hawkins, the youthful, optimistic maid in Upstairs. Downstairs. In 1975, the character of Lily brought fresh vitality to the series, softening its heavy atmosphere with innocence and dedication, while also proving that Karen was more than a child star and capable of maturing into adult roles. However, her film and television career did not last long. Karen had risen to fame early as Jane Banks in Mary Poppins, 1964, but the pressures of the spotlight gradually led her to withdraw. After marrying, she decided to leave acting in 1984 to dedicate herself fully to raising her children, a choice that left her with mixed feelings of regret and peace. That turning point closed the door on her artistic career, but opened the way to a simple family life. In marriage, Karen found enduring companionship with Ned Nall, her partner with whom she built a home and raised 2 children. Although she sometimes felt sadness over no longer working in the arts, the support of her husband and the joy of motherhood helped her overcome loneliness, making her family her greatest source of comfort. By 2025, Karen Dotrice is 69 years old and living with her husband and children in Virginia. She participates in charity events with Disney and made a touching cameo appearance in Mary Poppins Returns. Her net worth is estimated at about $500,000, mostly from her years as a child actress and her enduring legacy with Disney. Audiences will always remember her as Jane Banks, an eternal childhood icon. George Innes as Alfred. George Innes was born on March 8, 1938, in Stepney, London. In 1971, at the age of 33, he played Alfred, the loyal footman in Upstairs, Downstairs. His character highlighted the sharp class tensions of the time while adding authenticity to the portrayal of early 20th century British domestic service. The role of Alfred helped Innes establish himself as a solid and recognizable figure on television. But his artistic journey was not always smooth. Although he trained at the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art, LAMDA, and worked with the National Theatre, George often faced periods of unemployment, particularly on stage, where he had invested the most passion. The months without work left him anxious and struggling to find ways to sustain his devotion to acting. In his personal life, he was married to Sherry from 1971 until 2003, and they had 2 children together. The marriage ended after more than 3 decades, leaving him with sorrow, though he tried to maintain harmony for the sake of his children. The separation left a lasting wound, weighing heavily on his middle years. By 2025, George Innes is 87 years old, still living in London and occasionally appearing on stage and in films, with notable credits including The Italian Job and Master and Commander. He enjoys a quiet old age while continuing to nurture his passion for performance. His net worth is estimated at around $1 million, earned from stage, television, and film, a reflection of the steady career of an actor who devoted his life to the arts. So, after 53 years, the faces that once made Upstairs, Downstairs legendary have changed in ways no one could have imagined. Some continue to shine, while others have passed on, leaving behind sorrow and remembrance. Whose transformation surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss the next stories.